Hello there, guys. Welcome to another live stream with myself, Mr. Frog at Frog Lane Studio. So today we're going to be checking out the British Army. Now, I'll wait for everybody to join in, but these are the guys we're going to be looking at today, and then we're going to be progressing on. I have many others to build and paint. Well, I've done all the building, I've just got to do the painting as well. So that's where we're up to at the moment today. So I'm just turning on my chat. Evening, Mr. Syndrome, how's it going? There we go, that's better. I can see all you lovely people in chat now. Hello, Putty, welcome in. So these are the guys that we're going to be doing. I'm just going to take out my earphones so I can hear you guys. Is the music okay? It's coming through on my speakers quite loud. Hi, Original. How's it going, my man? Mr. Brewer, welcome in. I'm very good, thank you very much. I had a minor meltdown earlier on today. I got halfway through producing my video for YouTube. Well, I got all the way through. I was rendering it. I got halfway through the rendering process and the computer crashed. And then when I switched it back on again, only half of the video that I'd recorded was there. So I had to start all over again. And it's literally, I am hoping, let's have a quick look. It's completed. So I've got that to upload after the live stream tonight. But yeah, it's been more than a little stressful so far. So what can you do though, eh? It's not the worst, it's not the best. It is what it is, and we've got to make the most of it. So I've been painting these British Army for the past week. I've probably put in about 30 odd hours over the past couple of days into these guys. So that's where we're at and where we're up to. They're dead easy to do, to be fair. F in the chat, I know, right? MDH, welcome in as well, my man. So I want to chat through the process of doing these guys. You will see on the video the full 50 of them, but literally I have clumps of them everywhere, ready to go. They're in various stages of finishing off. So there is a process to follow, and I've been following this one, which is the British Army Rapid Deployment Paint System. The Rapid Deployment Fast Paint System, coupled with authentic acrylic paint colours with groundbreaking quick shade pigment wash. I will come on to the quick shade pigment wash in a second. Allowing you to field great looking models on the tabletop in double quick time. It really wasn't. It was an absolute pain in the backside. This step, which we're going to do tonight, give your models a coat of primer, then blocking your colours, no need for shading or highlights. Oh my god, amazing. Really, really good. Dead easy, dead quick. You get them looking like this guy here in practically no time at all. Yeah, bless you. Mrs. Frog isn't feeling too hot today. Hunter, are you planning on making soldiers from other countries? Oh, absolutely. I want to do US Army at some point. And also I want to recreate the Japs Banzai charge as well. So I'd love to paint up, 100 Japanese, all armed with fixed bayonets, and the leaders with the sergeants with their samurai swords, and go charging across the battle to try and take some heads. I think that would be a really nice idea. So, yes. So, with the quick paint system, step 1, which is this, you get this done in absolutely no time at all. We're going to be doing these 3 in a second, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Once you do that, you then go ahead and get these guys dipped. And this is what they end up coming out looking like. Now, I've never used dip before, and this scared the bejesus out of me. When it came out looking like this, I mean, I have 6 of these guys to show you. They're a high gloss finish, and they're really dark, and they don't look anything like what it's advertised as. It was really, really scary, and I'd done 25 of these guys looking like that, and like I said, it scared the hell out of me. So I continued on with the process, and I popped the anti-shine on, and I've got to be honest with you, as soon as you put the anti-shine onto the model, so it all comes in one handy tub, all of these paints, and as soon as you put that anti-shine on, they stop looking awful, and they start looking pretty damn good. So I'll show you. This is these guys here. This is some more. So what I decided to do, now they call this finished. Now, these could be finished, but I wanted to go one stage better. Obviously, I mean, you guys have seen me painting, so you know what I'm like with my painting skills, and I wanted to really up the game on these. So this is them finished off according to the rapid deployment paint system. But what I did is I went back in and just grabbed all of the colours that we'd put on before and just went back over them and re-highlighted them. And actually they started to look really, really good. So these have just had the extra highlights put back on. Now, you're probably talking about an hour and a half for each model to finish off looking like this. Now, I could also do that with washes and that, but for beginner painters, this fast paint system is actually really good. Absolutely, MDH. You really have to concentrate on the models themselves, and you know, believe in the process. So once you get it done, though, then yes, they do end up looking really good. So I'm really proud of these guys. I'll show you the leader bloke on there. I'll come to your question in a second, MDH. So this is the second lieutenant who's leading them, and I'm really happy with how he turned out overall. Considering the amount of time that was put in, he's a really nice little model. So yes, MDH, they're all going to be fully based. I have in here the mountain tufts, and I have some flowers as well that we're going to be putting in. Nice moustache indeed. These are lowland turfs from Army Painter. So we have a plethora of different basing materials that we're going to be using for them. So I'm going to be coming on to the basing probably in a couple of weeks' time and getting all these guys based up. So yes, they will be fully based. Don't you worry. Excuse me. So yeah, I wanted to really show you. As I said, it comes in this, and then it's just got all of the paints. They tell you exactly what you need to do on there, and you just apply them. So it's really not that hard at all. I'm a bit of a pro in terms of this now. I don't worry too much about being that neat. The wash clears away a lot of your mistakes and tidies everything up. So it's really just a case of following the instructions and slapping this on. You can get them painted in not very much time at all. So if you are looking at getting into bolt action, as I said, from an experienced painter, that quick shade scared the bejesus out of me. But actually, once you go through the whole process and put the anti-shine on, and then just spend a little bit extra time going back over the colours that you've done, then they all really start to pop. They all really start to come together. So it's just one coat on everything. I'd like to see how this would turn out for, say, Imperial Guard, maybe, or, you know, in terms of the other systems that bolt action do, like the Napoleonics and stuff. I think that would be fantastic. See you later, Mrs. Frog. You take care. She's going upstairs for a rest, bless her. Here we go. So yeah, it's really, really nice and easy, quick and simple. We might just do one of these guys, and I'll do the others off camera. But for the amount of time that you put into them, it's not that bad at all. There we go. So it's just a case of one coat. How's everybody's week been so far anyway? We're halfway through. We're hump day already. It's Warlord Wednesday. Anybody painting along with us tonight? Nice, Syndrome. Hunter even. Sorry, matey. You back on your hobby drive, Hunter? Your power axe, yes. Indeedy so, Ryan. How's it going? Paul, welcome in as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So for those of you who just joined, I am trying out the new fast paint system from Warlord Games, and it scared the living daylights out of me, is the end result. But the final finished models on here look really good once they're all done. So there we go. So once we've done the webbing, will you venture into tanks and such? Absolutely, I'll show you. In fact, so with this 1,000 point army, you actually get a tank with it as well. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about tanks, but this is a Cromwell, which was a British medium tank used in the Second World War. It was predominantly used in the Africa campaigns to storm across the deserts alongside Matildas and Churchill tanks. The Cromwell tank was a light tank, so I will be doing so with that. Oh, I'll show you. Where is he on here? I don't know whether you guys can see. That's what it'll end up looking like on there. So that's the Cromwell. Hive Army, hi, how's it going? Cannon fodder indeed. The Cromwell tanks were the equivalent of the American Chaffies. So the American Chaffies were later war models. The Cromwell tanks were the earlier British models, but they were used extensively right the way throughout the Second World War. So fantastic vehicles. There's not that many of them left actually nowadays. Bovington Tank Museum in the UK is one of the best places to go and see. They've got a really nice Cromwell. I'm not 100% sure whether it's still running or not, but it's one of the places that I wanted to go and visit this year until the lovely Rona hit. Scuppered my plans for Tiger Day. So we're really lucky here in the UK. We have the last working Tiger tank, Tiger 131, which was captured in the, I want to say it was in the Second Battle of El Alamein. But it was the first working Tiger that the Brits captured, and then it went across to Bovington to be disassembled and all of its parts and everything investigated. and it was reassembled again and paraded through the streets of the UK for propaganda purposes. So Tiger 131 is one of the ones that I want to go and see. Time for my weekly historical hit. Absolutely. I can bring you guys all up to speed with it, definitely. So these Brits are what I'm wanting to do with these guys in terms of the bases. On Monday we were talking about chapter creation, and so this goes with these guys as well. I mean, so the British Army, same with the US and any of the armies, in fact. Obviously they have different, summer, winter, desert, snow, and various other uniforms. There we go, that's the word I'm looking for. But they were all much of a muchness, and being the British Army, this is kind of the standard fatigues that they would have worn. So what I wanted to do is very much try and tell the story of where these guys are at in terms of the Second World War through their armor and what they're wearing and what they're doing, their armor, their clothes. So if I just put him down, that was the Piat Green. And we'll actually pick up my Piat launcher. Here we go. So this is the Piat rifle here. I'll come on to the rest of it in a second, but the Piat launcher is really, really cool. So the British had, the Americans had the bazooka. And the way the bazooka worked is it had a rocket charge at the back. So there was an electrical signal that went to the back of it. It initiated the motor in the bazooka rocket itself, and then it fired the projectile out the end. The way the Piats worked was very, very simple. It had a giant recoil spring in the main barrel here. And so it was armed and cocked at the back, and you basically pulled the spring back on here. And when once that was locked in place, then the rocket just here was loaded into the top, and then you aimed it and fired it. But because it was on spring power alone, then it only had a range, an effective range of about 30 to 40 yards. So you had to get really close to the tank in order to be able to aim it and fire it successfully and hit your target, because it had such a short range. So it wouldn't go very far, and any further than 15, 20 yards, its accuracy dropped off as well. So what we did is this was the spring loaded. It's one of the only ones that they had in the in the British Army, full stop. But that's a Piat launcher right there. Very successful anti-tank rifle. There was a chap who won a Victoria Cross for taking out a couple of tanks with a Piat launcher. Hey Pocket Nova, how's it going? How much is true about you get killed if you fire a bazooka within a room? I can tell you exactly. It's not about getting killed if you fire a bazooka in a room. It's about the back blast from a bazooka. So with science, every Newton's third law of physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So when the bazooka fires this way, then the gases come out this way. All a bazooka is just a tube. Obviously it's different with the Piat because it's a spring, so it springs it out. But with the bazooka, it's got a massive backblast. So if you stand behind the bazooka when it fires, all of those all of the rocket exhausts from the bazooka rocket are going to go straight behind and into you. So it's not necessarily true about it being you get killed if it's in a room. I tell you who's going to be able to tell us more than anybody else is Keith. Because Keith from our Patreon chat, his main weapon of choice when he was serving in the US infantry was a bazooka. So he would be able to tell us exactly what's going on. Fortunately, he's not in the chat at the moment. Yeah, not jet exhaust, rocket propellant, rocket exhaust. So, yeah, it's not necessarily true, but if you were standing right behind it, it would bloody hurt. So, there we go. Yeah, the PSI is the killer with the backblast. Exactly, Original Sin. Yes. So that's my theory take on it anyway. But we'll wait for Keith to get in, and Keith will be able to tell us exactly what's going on. We can bend Uncle Keith's ear with rocket launcher tails. So what was I saying? Yeah, British Army telling a story. So with these guys, I wanted to tell a story. And the story I wanted to tell is that they're, you know, they've been in a couple of scrapes and scratches. They've been in country in France for a good couple of months or so. However, they're not to be battle. You know, they're not too battle rugged. They haven't taken too many casualties yet. So they're a little bit dirty, a little bit muddy, a little bit grimy. But apart from that, they've still got all the essential kit. Basically, they've just been resupplied and geared up, and they're ready for another scrap. The way I'm going to be doing the bases is I want them to be kind of in the Battle of Bocage. So the Battle of Bocage happened after D-Day, and it's the breakout from Normandy. And once they broke out from Normandy, they then entered into the French countryside beyond. And the bocage is, in France, it's fields and hedgerows and roads. And so every field was surrounded by bocage. It's like shrubbery. Really tall walls of dirt. And then on top of that is really thick shrubbery. Really, really hard to get to and get through, and you couldn't see what was on the other side. So by the time you'd come from the road, and right on the side of the road were these really steep banks of dirt, about 6 foot high, and then on top of that then you had the shrubs as well. So you'd peek your head up and over into the next field. If any of you have seen Saving Private Ryan, you'll know what I'm talking about, or Band of Brothers for that matter. So the bocage was Band of Brothers episode 6 Crossroads, and you can see the burns and the banks of what was going on. In fact, Harrington in episode 3 of Band of Brothers is Carrington, and that has the bocage hedgerows as well. So these guys are going to have lots of foliage on their helmets, lots of luscious green shrubs around their feet. And that's how I wanted to represent them, is in the Battle of the Bocage. So the other thing I wanted to point out as well, which is a great little detail, I'll come on to your question in a second, MDH. The Brits, a lot of them have these teacups. So a lot of they're tin with a white enamel coating, and they would actually then have a blue stripe around the outside. I remember my granddad still having his, and this would be an essential part of the British British Rifleman's kit, is his little cup for having a cup of tea, which I thought was really nice. So I wanted to highlight those on these models in the white enamel that they would have been. Am I enjoying the models? I really am. They're really, really nice to paint. As I said, in terms of models themselves, they're a really nice beginner's model set. They're not that strenuous, and they're nice and easy. They almost kind of paint themselves. So yeah, really, really nice to paint. So we've got, where are we? We've done the webbing. We've done the gaiters that they wear here. We've done the helmet. So we'll go next on to the gunmetal, in fact. Here we go. A T-Mug is an essential piece of your kit. You can't get any more British. Indeed. So a nice one for you guys, and for the so anybody interested in British history. The Chieftain main battle tanks, the ones that we use today in the British Army, all have tea making facilities built into the tank. So no matter where you go in a British tank, you can always have a nice fresh cup of tea. It's like a giant microwave for water, and or a giant tea urn for those initiated Brits amongst us. And it's built into the tank, so you're able to have a nice cup of tea wherever you go in the back of a British tank, which is a really nice addition. So for any of you wondering what a proper British cup of tea looks like, you have to let the tea bag stew 5 or 10 minutes before taking the tea bag out and then adding the milk in. There we go. Yeah, just going back to the Battle of Barrage. So what the British and the American tanks did is, on D-Day, on the beaches, there were loads of anti-tank metal obstacles, and what the REME, which is the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers, and the American, well, we called them sappers. I'm not 100% sure what you guys called them. But your engineers, the battlefield engineers, there we go. They cut up all the tank traps and then strapped them to the front of the tanks to make like giant dozer blades, so that they could plow through these hedgerows, which is really cool. Absolutely, Hunter. Mr. Frog, do you know the cheapest way to kit bash? I've tried on eBay. Currently, no. Unfortunately, not. There are places on eBay that do bits parts, but they're really expensive. You're probably better off, if you're wanting to kit bash models, is just to buy the boxes. I mean, you're going to be in this hobby, Ryan. You're less than 20 years old, man. You've still got another 30, 40 years in the hobby. So if you buy the model kit that you need, inevitably you're going to end up needing the rest of the kit at some point. And even if you're not, you can always then sell it on eBay if you wanted to, as the bits. Yeah, so original, a kit bash is where you get two different models and then you bash them together. So you get two different model kits and you bash them together. So I don't know, say you had you had a British squad, just talking bolt action. So you had a British squad, and what you wanted them to be is you wanted to tell the story of the fact that these guys, you know, it's only like an 8-man platoon, but they've been lost behind enemy lines and they got taken prisoner, and then they escaped and they overpowered their German captors and then took all their weapons. So the British soldiers that you have in model form, you want them to be armed with captured German weapons. So, you know, the STGs or the Mausers or the MP40s, that sort of thing. That being said, the British kit doesn't come with Mausers and MP40s and the like. They only come with the British weapons. So what you do is you'd get a British kit and you would use all of the body, but you wouldn't use the guns. And then from the German kit, you'd then use their guns. So you would then have a British chap with his captured MP40, for example. So that's what kit bashing is. It's where you take two separate boxes of models and you bash them together to make a new model. So, you know, for it depends on exactly what you're wanting to do, but for whichever rule system you're using, you just take 2 different sets and then amalgamate them together. Yeah, just buy the box. You never know when you're going to need the rest of it. So what you could do with the leftovers, Ryan, is, I don't know, you could make casualty markers or objective markers for your army, so that you have personalized objective markers for when you go to play to take the objectives. Right then, so where were we? So we've done everything on here so far. We've got the wood left and the boots, and then we're done. So in terms of the wood, the Lee Enfield rifles, the Lee Enfield rifles were made all over the place, but one of the main manufacturers was just up the road from where I was born, in the gun quarter in Birmingham. So a lot of these Lee Enfield rifles were made just up the road from me in Birmingham. And the wood they used, the wood from the stocks, started off really nice, expensive wood. But as the war progressed, obviously the wood shortages, along with shortages of all other building materials, came in. And so they had to adapt. So you will find Lee Enfield rifles and most of the other rifles from the Second World War with different wood stocks. So that's what we're doing on here. It suggested that I used dark wood, but I'm actually using oak wood. I like the idea of all of my guys running around with oak wood stocks, you know, running around breaking Nazis' noses with this with the oaken stocks. I've heard of the Piat from World War II. Is that the spring-loaded bazooka? Yes, it is indeed. It was an amazing invention, really, to be honest with you. The thing was not widely used to start off with, but by the end of the war, it was one of the Brits' main weapons in terms of anti-tank. They had the 6-pounder gun, which is the one that was majority used in, well, to be fair, all over. But there's a couple of really famous battles in Africa, and then across the top of Africa, when the Brits were fighting the 8th Army. But particularly during the European theatres, Piats were used because, like I said, in terms of the bocage, it's very close quarter fighting. You would end up just, you know, spying your opposition from the end of a field. So range of about 100 to 300 meters. Really, is it that far? I didn't even think it was that far, to be honest. A lot of the time they were being used from right up close. Let me just find the story of my chap. He's a Victoria Cross winner. Now I say winner. There's no real winners in terms of the Victoria Cross. But he used a Piat to take out several tanks. Here we go. Let me read this story to you. So Jefferson was a 23-year-old from Ulverston in Lancashire, which is about 30 miles up the road from myself. So there was a bunch of panzers that were driving up the hill, and running forward alone under heavy fire, he took up a position behind a hedge. But as he could not see properly, he came out into the open, standing up under a hail of bullets, firing at the leading tank, which was now only 20 yards away. His citation would explain. He fired and hit the Panzer. It burst into flames and all of the crew were killed. Fusilier Jefferson then reloaded his Piat and advanced on the second tank. This is a single chap just walking up the road with his Piat launcher against, you know, armoured tanks. He walked up the road under a withering hail of fire. And as the vehicle began to withdraw, it did so before Jefferson could get with the weapon's effective range. Here we go. The effective range is only 50 metres. By this time, our own tanks had arrived, and the enemy counterattack was smashed with heavy casualties. Fusiliers Jefferson's gallant act not only saved the lives of his company, but also caused many casualties to the Germans and broke up the enemy's counterattack. It had decisive effect on the subsequent operation. His supreme gallantry and disregard of own personal risk contributed to a very large success of the action. So, Private Jefferson, Frank Jefferson, armed with a Piat launcher, this one here, walked up to a tank. It was 20 yards away and fired at point blank with his Piat launcher into it, disabling the first Panzer. The Panzer behind, having seen this tank burst into flames, then watch this chap walk around the side of the tank, reloading it as it came. They turned their penultimate machine guns onto him, and he still came up to them. They quickly then threw it in reverse and reversed round a corner. One chap against two tanks, and saving his squad mates by just walking out into the open with it. 50 meters is the effective range of a Piat, not the 200 to 300. But yes, yeah, it's very, very close. But it was ideal in the fighting in France in the hedgerows, when literally you would have a tank just drive around the corner or burst through the hedgerow in front of you. So it didn't matter how far that effective range was on there. Very, very good. Yes, it was one of the first shape-charged bazookas. English version of Chad. Casually walking up to the tank with a cup of tea, very British. Absolutely. There are some amazing, amazing stories in terms of British soldiers and the Victoria Cross. So for those who don't know, the Victoria Cross is our highest, it's the Medal of Honor equivalent. And it's awarded to those of extreme gallantry. The Victoria Crosses themselves are made from the captured cannons from the Crimea, from during the Crimean War. I think it was the Siege of Sevastopol. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but the captured cannons from there when the British stormed through the breach. If you've heard the phrase, once more unto the breach, my friends, once more. The breach is made in castle walls, and it tumbles down, and the breach is then secured by the breaching party. But because it's such a narrow, everybody's funneled into one point, it's the massive casualties that ensue because of everybody just being in a concentrated kill zone. And so that's where, you know, breaching comes in, or breaching charges, or, you know, once more into the breach. That's a breach. And the people who showed the soldiers that showed the most gallantry there were awarded the Victoria Cross. And so the iron that's in these cannons is getting rarer and rarer. There's a jewelers in London who are the only ones that have this, and they produced a batch of 10 back in the early 2000s. Of those 10, 2 have been taken so far. There have been 2 Victoria Crosses awarded, 2 British soldiers during Afghanistan for their extreme bravery. One chap was driving a tank and had a bazooka hit his head and still carry on firing. The other chap I'm not 100% sure on. But yeah, so that's the British Cross, highest medal for gallantry you can earn. Amazing, absolutely amazing. So anyway, back to this. So I've been bumbling along, but it's taken not very much time at all to do this. The last thing, so I've done the oak rifle. The last thing I'm going to do is just switch it out for Chaos Black. Now, anybody who is in particularly the British Army will know how important spit shining your shoes are. If you get caught with dirty shoes, then you are a very dirty boy. But you're going to get punished. You're going to get stripped out and chewed out by your commanding officer, your superiors. So you better make damn sure that your boots are spit polished and shiny. And this is one thing I wanted to reflect on these guys. So I've gone for the blackest black I could find, and the dip is going to make these boots extra shiny. And what I'm going to do is it comes with anti-shine matte varnish. But I'm not going to put the anti-shine on the boots themselves because I still want these guys to all have spit polished shiny boots, which I think is quite a nice touch. Yeah, original. So the RPG hits. He was driving with the driver's hatch open, and the RPG hit just above his head and exploded. He had fragments go into, well, obviously his head, and that was contact made. They were in the kill zone, and then he proceeded to drive his tank crew out of the kill zone. It's incredible, absolutely incredible story. So he drove out of the kill zone despite receiving really bad head wound, and got his tank crew safe before then receiving medical attention. It's just absolutely incredible. Can anybody recommend Hunter some good World War One and World War Two movies, or Vietnam? There are many. Everybody has their favourite. So Original says Patton. How can we get Mr. Frog to do some audible? I can absolutely. I can do that. Not an issue. I can do it whilst I'm painting if you guys like. I'm just reading up on Private Smith currently. I think this is the guy. It is. Okay. Let me tell you about Ernest Smith, nicknamed Smokey. So he was a Canadian recipient of the Victoria Cross. So it states that the Victoria Cross is the highest award for gallantry in the face of the enemy that can be awarded to British and Commonwealth forces. And he was the last living recipient, Canadian recipient of the Victoria Cross. So the citation reads as follows. So in Italy, so they were in the Italian campaign, on the night of the 21st, 22nd of October 1944, a Canadian infantry brigade was ordered to establish a bridgehead across the Savio River. The Seaforth Highlanders of Canada were selected as the spearhead of the attack, and in weather most unfavourable went to the operation. They crossed the river and captured their objectives in spite of strong opposition from the enemy. Torrential rain had caused the Savio River to rise 6 feet in 5 hours, and as the soft vertical banks made it impossible to bridge the river, no tanks or anti-tank guns could be taken across the raging stream to support the rifle companies. In other words, these boys were on foot. They had no support whatsoever from any tanks or any heavy weapons at all. They had their rifles and they had their Piat launchers. That's about it. Grenades as well. And of course, whatever else they could carry. So, as the right forward company was consolidating its objective, it was suddenly counterattacked by a troop of 3 Mark V Panzer tanks. Panther tanks were the brand new, just for people who don't know, Panther tanks were brand new German tanks. They were the best that they had. You had the Tigers and the Panthers. The Tigers were the heavy tanks. The Panthers were support tanks, but equally just as deadly. Armour virtually impenetrable to most of the Brit guns before they upgraded. So, yeah, they were counterattacked by a troop of 3 Mark V Panther tanks, supported by 2 self-propelled guns and 30 infantry, and the situation appeared hopeless. Under heavy fire from approaching enemy tanks, Private Smith showed great initiative and inspiring leadership. led his Piat group of 2 men. So they would have had a Piat and a spare. So they would have been him firing it, and then 2 guys helping him to load it. So one loading it, one got the other ready, and then they'd swap over. Almost immediately, the enemy tanks came down the road, firing machine guns along the line of ditches. Private Smith's comrade, Private Tennant, was wounded, and at 30 feet, having exposed himself to the full view of the enemy, Private Smith fired the Piat and hit the tank, putting it out of action. 10 German infantry immediately jumped off the back of the tank and charged him with Schmeissers and grenades. Without hesitation, Private Smith moved off the road and with his Tommy gun at point-blank range killed 4 Germans and drove the remainder back. Almost immediately, another tank opened fire and more enemy infantry closed on Smith's position. Appearing hopeless, he obtained some abandoned Tommy gun magazines from a ditch. He steadfastly held his position, protecting the wounded Private Tennant and fighting the enemy with his Tommy gun until they finally gave the order to withdraw. 1 tank and both self-propelled guns had been destroyed by this time, and yet another tank swept the area with fire from a longer range. Private Smith, still showing utter contempt for enemy fire, helped his wounded friend to cover and obtain medical aid for him behind a near building. He then returned to his position beside the road to await the possibility of further enemy attack. No immediate attack would develop, and the result of the battalion was that the battalion was able to consolidate the bridgehead, so vital to the success of the whole operation, which then led to the capture of San Giorgio della Senza and the further advance across the Ronco River. Thus, by dogged determination, outstanding devotion to duty and superb gallantry from this private soldier, his comrades were so inspired that the bridgehead was held firm against all further enemy attacks, pending the arrival of tanks and anti-tank guns some hours later. Yeah. I'm enthralled and amazed by these guys. These were the childhood stories that I used to read. I grew up on VC citations. Go. I keep doing the wrong one. So there we go. We're done on that. Let's just go back. There we go. So I've got the skin to do, and then this guy's done. Man down. There we go. Does that ever leave a bad taste in your mouth? I'll be honest with you, Chris. No. I've been paint licking for years, so I probably have a wet palate in my stomach by now. The amount of paint that I've imbibed over the years. The reason why I do it is it's easier than washing the brush out, and you can re-establish the point very quickly on the brush. To be fair, it's also force of habit as well. Ryan, you could drink any paint. Not sure about that one. There we go. So I'm not going to do the dipper live on stream. The reason being is because it goes everywhere. The YouTube video's going to be uploaded after this. It's completed now, so it's ready to go. So you can see on there what I went through in terms of dipping these models. But my goodness, yeah. It was more than a little stressful. What I should have done was just strap a drill to the bottom of it and then spin it around really fast. to get all the drips off, or maybe just used a large brush and applied it liberally over that like it suggested in there. But it was paint dip, so I thought you could just well, it said to dip the models in, so I've never done it before, so I wanted to do it. And I can tell you now, I'd rather stick to a brush. Hunter, here's one for you. Do you know the most carcinogenic substance known to man? Carcinogenic means the biggest cause of cancer. So, can anybody take a guess what the biggest cause of cancer in the world is? Anyone on chat? Lead. It's a good guess. Hunter, care to guess the most carcinogenic substance known to man? Radon. Yeah, no, radon is it's exactly the same in English. An elemental. An element. Yes, yeah. The most carcinogenic substance known to man. You're right, radon is the most radioactive, but it's not the most carcinogenic substance, the cause of most cancers. The cause of most cancers is oxygen. G-dub price rises, indeed. Yeah, so according to one scientific study I saw, the most carcinogenic substance known to man is oxygen. So, starlight's passing through photons, is it? I can't remember I didn't Google that, by the way, yeah. No, the particles passing through space and blah, blah, blah. Let me just double check that, actually. I got told that years ago. Most carcinogenic substance known to man. What is the most carcinogenic substance? It's just, wow, that's some scary stuff. Yeah, Google says there's 116 different things that cause cancer. I'm not going to read them all out. Okay, apparently, according to this, is tobacco first, followed by ultraviolet light, followed by vinyl chloride, then wood dust. Radiation and gamma rays come after that. So I was wrong as well. Shit. So we'll have to change that then. So tobacco is the most carcinogenic substance currently. That's really interesting. Anyway, yeah. Radon also comes from mountains and rocks where the amount of level is dangerous part. Oh, okay. Arthur Lewis Aaron. Let's have a look at Arthur Lewis Aaron. Aaron. He was an Air Force pilot. So he was 21 years old, flying a Sterling. Near the target, his bomber was struck by machine gun fire. Oh, I think I've read this. Yeah. So, in terms of Aaron, then. So, on the night of the 12th of August, this is Original's favourite VC recipient. On the night of the 12th of August, 1943, Flight Sergeant Aaron was captain and pilot of the Sterling aircraft detailed to attack Turin. When approaching to attack, the bomber received devastating bursts of fire from an enemy fighter. 3 of the engines were hit and the windscreen was shattered. The front and rear turrets were both put out of action and the elevator controls damaged, causing the aircraft to become unstable and difficult to control. The navigator was killed immediately and the other members of the crew were all wounded. Flight Sergeant Aaron alone, with a bullet that had struck in his face, breaking his jaw and tearing away part of his face, was also wounded. He had additional wounds to his lung and right arm, which was rendered useless. As he fell forward over the control column, the aircraft dived several thousand feet. Control was regained by the flight engineer at 3,000 feet. However, unable to speak, Flight Sergeant Aaron urged the bomb aimer by signs to take over the controls. The course was then set southwards in an endeavour to fly the crippled bomber with only one engine out of action to either Sicily or North Africa. Turin is in Italy, FYI. Flight Sergeant Aaron was assisted to the rear of the aircraft and treated with injected morphine. After resting for some time, he rallied and, mindful of his responsibilities as captain of the aircraft, insisted on returning to the flight cockpit, where he was lifted into the seat and had his feet placed on the rudder bar. Twice he made determined attempts to land and hold the aircraft to its course, but his weakness was evident, and with difficulty he was persuaded to desist. Although in great pain and suffering from exhaustion, he continued to help by writing directions with his left hand. 5 hours after leaving the target, the petrol was running low, but soon afterwards, the flare path of Bone Airfield was sighted. Flight Sergeant Aaron, summoning all of his failing strength to direct the bomb aimer in the hazardous task of landing the damaged aircraft in the darkness with the undercarriage retracted. 4 attempts were made under his direction, and at the 5th, Flight Sergeant Aaron was so near to collapse that he had to be restrained by the crew, and the landing was completed by the bomb aimer. 9 hours after landing, Flight Sergeant Aaron died from exhaustion. He had been content, when grievously wounded, to lie still and conserve his failing strength. Now, if he had been content in doing so, he probably would have recovered. But he saw it as his duty to exert himself to the fullest and utmost, if necessary with his last breath, to ensure that his aircraft and the crew did not fall into enemy hands. In appalling conditions, he showed the greatest quality of courage, determination and leadership, and though wounded and dying, he set an example of devotion and duty which has seldom been equalled and never been surpassed. That guy was 21 years of age when he gave his life for his brothers. 21 years of age and he does something like that. It's fucking incredible. Wow. This is why I'm painting these guys for people like him and his family. Yeah, man. You don't get sacrifices like that these days. Not that many. Anyway, here's me sitting here painting bloody plastic toy soldiers. Yeah. I'm a little shook up after that one original, I'll be honest with you. Gets you in the feels. Anyway, that's all that. So, yeah. I'm going to crack on painting these guys. I still have another 50 odd to go. Any more? Mate, there are many, many more. But Yeah, as Ortgirl says, the vast majority of Victoria Crosses were posthumously awarded. There were very few that actually survived. Or survived intact. Yeah, man. Ryan, that's war for you then, man. We play it. But it's the realities, you know? Yeah, exactly. Cheer up and donate. Ryan, good news. My dog is here now. Bless. Awesome. Look, we can't always be cheerful on stream. Life is not always cheerful. And ultimately, like I said, you know, this is the point, is that I'm doing this. I'm painting this army, you know, spending hours and hours putting all these guys together, painting them up to give them away to donate. I'm not having anything out of this. But the reason why I'm doing it is because, yeah, it's a sacrifice for me to spend a couple of hours painting. But the brave men and women who fight for not just our country, but the other countries as well, you know, to defend our freedom and our ability to sit here and paint and do this. You know, there are a hell of a lot of people who've sacrificed a hell of a lot more. So why the bloody hell not? So yeah, if you guys are able to donate, then please do, because it's people like that who make our country great. What can I say? Nothing really. Right, let's crack on with this, eh? We'll power through. This is why I would never be any good on any of those charity live streams, to be fair, because I'd just start crying. We've done this guy now. That's all the base colours and base coats we need. Once he's done, you stick him in the dip. Now, I'm not going to stick him in the dip because, as I said, it's messy as anything. You'll see on the video when I do it. But when they come out, they take 24 hours to dry, yeah? After they've dried up, they look something like this. They look horrible and glossy and just generally not very nice. And I was really worried after doing 25 of them, having only got 50. I dipped half of them. I was really worried that I'd messed them up. But with the anti-shine that it comes with, which is this stuff here, you just put it over the top of it and it works out really well. And they come out looking all right. They still look a little dark. So what I did then was just to go back onto the model and touch them all up, like I said. So I just painted all of them up. Re-established the colours really quick, really brief. The white, they weren't actually white, they were like a cream colour blanket. So you had cream and green coloured blankets that they would wear for sleeping under. So that's the blanket. And then obviously the little tea mug there for having your special brew. And then just re-established some of the highlights as well. I might go back in and put a couple of lighter shades of leaves on there in a bit. I'm not 100% sure. No problems at all, Ryan. You have returned, MDH. You've missed a good story time. It was another epic VC winner. 'Twas really good. So, yeah, so I have... Oh, God. There we go. Sorry if that banged your ears a bit. So I'll show you where I'm up to in terms of these models, right? I've got... Let's see. I've got 10 done. That's these guys. So I've got 10 completed. They might look a little dark on stream. Or is that 8? 9. I don't know. I lose count. Nope, there we go. 9. So I've got 9 fully completed, guys. Including the epic moustache guy, who's the leader bloke who has his pistol and double pointing hands. He was one of the ones that we did on last week's stream. So I've got those guys done. And then we have, if I just tilt the camera up ever so slightly, and then give you a quick pan round. So we've got some here. Yeah, A. Aaron's, yes, yeah. Oh, God. Have I just broken that? Shit. The bed. No, I haven't. Thank God. Okay, yeah. I won't take the camera off, but what I'll do is I'll give you a quick show round here on the little cam. So we've got the rest of the 50 in various stages of painting. They shouldn't take too long to finish off, to be fair. I've got the majority of them done. Mr. Frog, are you secretly a history teacher? I used to be a teacher way back, once upon a time. So Ryan asked if I was an art teacher, and I said no. You've just asked whether I was a history teacher, and I said no. I worked in a college many moons ago, and I was the... What did they call me? I was a youth inclusion support no, that was at the other job. I was basically the kind of go-between. So Ryan, you're at college. So I was like the youth worker at college. And then after that, I taught people who'd failed English and Math GCSE, which is like your high school degree, high school qualification in the US. So people who'd failed that and weren't necessarily, you need English and Maths at grade C in the UK, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. So those people who'd failed English and Maths at GCSE and IT as well, I taught them on like 2-month, 3-month crash courses in order to pass to get GCSE English, Maths and IT at C. So that was me. So I've got trained up as a teacher, and I taught for about 2 years before moving on. I've had many jobs. So that's one of them. So yeah, that's why I can I sound a little like this. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy letting people learn. That's one of the many things. Cool. Guys, I'm gonna start calling the stream here because I'm gonna crack on and try and finish off these guys. Does anybody have any questions or queries in terms of what we've talked through tonight? It's been awesome, man. We've had a little bit of story time. Do you guys want more stories next time? Because I don't mind doing that at all. What do you guys think? Definitely, man. So we'll mash it. Yeah, more stories. No problem at all. We'll do a mashup between the stories and the painting then as well. So I'll give you a bit of tutorial about it. Hunter, you do not want the horrors of World War II and World War I. That's not what I'm going to do. I'll talk about the brave sacrifice of men. But what you've got to remember, Hunter, is that in terms of the horrors, that was real life. Those were actual people who went through that. They're not stories. Those aren't stories. They're real people, and they're the suffering of real people. So I'm not going to tell you the stories. But I'll tell you about what real people went through. Heroes. All of them. Certainly put stuff into perspective anyway. Charles, take care, man. They were indeed our ancestors, Orc Girl. Yeah, it's not something to make light of, but it's definitely something to honour and respect. So there's Finnish heroes as well. Stories of valour and heroes, exactly, every single one of them. It's that moment when standing at the crossroads and you think you can either look after yourself or you can look after everybody else. You can choose to run away and live, or you can choose to stand there in the face of adversity and not know what happens. And for some people, they did it without thinking. Others, they genuinely thought about it and went ahead and still did it anyway. Crazy stories. So yeah, there's a guy who climbed out on the wing of a bomber with a fire extinguisher to put the fire out. I'll have to find that one out. I don't know that chap's name, but that's just one of many, brave sacrifices that people made for their friends, their brothers in arms. So yeah, definitely, man. Anyway, boys and girls, look, I am more than happy to carry that on next week. Hopefully by the end of next week we are going to have all of these guys painted up and finished for us. Yeah, I will have the video uploaded momentarily as well. So as soon as I finish the stream, I'll put that video up on YouTube and you can see me recount the details of everything that's gone on here today. Lest we forget, indeed, boys and girls. Look, thank you once again. You guys are Syndrome as well, you know, my regulars. So thank you so much for tuning in night after night to watch us do this. It's amazing. So thank you very much, one and all. And I shall end the stream here, and I shall see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday and Ask Me Anything. So I have some 2 new special deliveries that I'm going to be... I haven't even shown them on their Discord yet. Oh no, I have actually. I have shown them on Discord. Mr. and Mrs. Frog in character form. So I will be doing those. But yes. Perfect. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. It's absolutely awesome. And I shall see you guys tomorrow. Take care, one and all. Bye for now.